that it's you've got it this far apart, it's number 4, 3, 2, 1. Everything's apart. I forgot to tell you about taking the choke mechanism out. So the choke mechanism is your 14 millimeter nut. It sits in here. So it's just a matter of 14 millimeter socket is best because, as we said before, with spanners. So that just pops out, and then you have that little piece of rubber there as well over your choke shaft. So, but yeah, and there's a little spring on there. So that's a pretty easy thing to get out normally. The nut normally comes undone reasonably easily. If they're off a running motorcycle, this shaft always comes out anyway. But I have had one where I sheared the end of it off, and back then I didn't know too much at all. I think it went in the bin. So yeah, pop your choke shaft out. Now it's a matter of, you've got it this far down, just go through and wash it best you can. Get all your crap off it, all your dirt and your dust and your oil and your lumpy bits. Get it all off, wash them up as best you can. All your parts, your bowls, everything. Wash them up as best as you can. I'll give you a couple of tips as we're cleaning up inside for the brass and the floats. Yeah, just go through and clean them up now. Keep it 1, 2, 3, 4. And just wash everything. Bring it back to what you're happy with. And then we'll show you how we do the inside after that. Just on another note, when you're going to go using petrol and you're going to be using a lot of it, and you're going to be spending your hands in a lot of time, get yourself a set of nitrile gloves. Primarily, you stick your finger in the petrol and you pull it out, and it evaporates in 15-20 seconds. It doesn't evaporate. Your body absorbs it. So your skin is waterproof, not petrol and chemicals and everything else. So your skin's only waterproof. So if you're going to be doing a lot of this over the next couple of hours, do your liver and your kidney a favour and put a set of nitrile gloves on. It'll save you in the long run. So marking should be done as a bank prior to disassembly. The easiest way to, once you've got them all split down like this, I mark them. Normally I use number stamps, but can't find them. So even just get a centre pop, hammer and a centre pop, and just, it's going to be a bit harder now that they're open, but number 4, so and there's just 4 pops on there, so you know that's number 4, and then yeah, 3 on this one, and 2 on this one, and 1 on this one, and that way, like they're not very big marks, but you know where you marked them. And 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't get them mixed up. So very good. So I've got mine roughly to the condition that I'm happy with as far as the excess amount of rubbish that's on them. washed off. Like that one came out really nice. Just petrol and a brush. The stuff that I couldn't get off real easily, I just grabbed a small screwdriver and you just give it a bit of a rub, and then you just put it back in and hit it with the brush and it just comes off. So that's what I've done with these. So that's the outside. How do you clean the inside? I boil mine. Stick them in a pot of boiling, put a pot of boiling water, and we're actually going to use soapy water tonight and see if that makes a difference. It won't get rid of the colour or the stain on a lot of it. It'll get rid of some of it, but without a lot of work, yeah, you won't get rid of that. And that's not going to cause an issue if that stayed that light green. If it stayed that, it's not going to interfere with anything anyway. So yeah, now it's just a matter of dropping it in the boiling water, and we just let it simmer away for 3 or 4 hours. I'm going to let mine run for, and we'll see what they look like. Pull them out after 3 or 4 hours and go from there. If they still look a little bit dirty, we'll jam them in for a bit longer, because we still have to clean up the rest of the stuff, so we've got plenty of time to let them boil and simmer and do their thing. So we'll just come over into the little saucepan that we've got on the boil on our little camp stove. It's bubbling away quite nicely, so we just pop them in there. They usually fit. I'm going to make a bloody liar out of me this time. Maybe only 2 fit. Maybe only 2 fit. I have used 4, but it was a bigger pot. Righto. And my pot, so it only comes to here. So you're going to have to turn them over to, the steam should do, but we'll turn them over in a couple of hours and let them run. So we just put the boil back on and just leave it crack so that we don't end up with a mess everywhere. And we'll leave them do that for a couple of hours. We'll come back. So, how are you going to clean these with no money, no tools, and that has been washed with petrol, and it still looks pretty crappy? I use Autosol, metal polish, whatever's on your side of the world, and a toothbrush. The thing with floats, you can't hold them like that. You have to hold them either like that or like that, because as soon as you concave that, you might as well throw it away. So it surprisingly doesn't take very much at all to do. So it doesn't take long normally, but we'll see how long it takes to do. So you don't really want to, you want to hold them, but you don't want to put any force behind it. So you kind of got to be a little bit careful how you hold them. I'd imagine we're just going to go through some of this because these things are so filthy. We'll just have to get the polish to work. So we'll just give that a go, because you're not going to want to sit here and watch me polish these to the nth degree. But that's in, well, you just saw that, that's in 2 minutes. So we just keep, it's a time consuming job cleaning carburetors, but there it is. We just keep rubbing and scrubbing and getting all this scaly rubbish off, and we continue on, all 8 of them. 1, 2, 8 of them. So we got this one, so it's clean. Am I happy? Yeah, no, not really. But I thought that was one of the cleanest ones. And then this one is just plain horrible. It's just covered, it looks like it's covered in sandpaper. And I've gone, I have a brass wire brush. So we'll try with a brass wire brush, just lightly, and I don't know whether you can see the dust coming off. It's getting rid of whatever the gunk is. Well, it's taking it back to that brown. At least it's getting whatever that horrible stuff is. If you want to invest in a little light wire brass wire brush, might be worth, like, especially if they're this bad, might be worth you a couple of dollars. So, doing this set of carburetors, the amount of solder on this set of floats is twice the weight of a standard set of carburetors. So when you adjust your floats, yeah, that's one thing. But I'd say this is why, this set of floats would be why these carburetors were taken off the bike, because they couldn't get them to run even. Because the amount of weight in here would have just, it would have had so much fuel in this bowl compared to this bowl, side by side. But yeah, the weight in that is just incredible. So we're trying to clean this one up. And I'm reckoning this is why this set of carburetors were taken off the bike. Well, how close you need to get. You see that clear?
Reasonably, yep.
Yep. Look at the amount of solder running around these both floats compared to that. It's a tiny little bead of solder against the edge. And this is covered, like literally, this one, just doing that, this one is nearly twice the weight. So if that's twice the weight and you've measured them at 23.7 millimeters with a kilo set of floats, the amount of fuel that's going to be in that bowl is going to be enormous. So they'll get thrown out, and I have another replacement set here, so they'll go into that set of carburetors that we're building. This is what they should look like. Now that's the same set of carburetors, the same floats we had 5-10 minutes ago, with a bit of autosol and a toothbrush. That's what you're looking for. turn the heat up a bit. You can see the water moving through them. So it's just a matter of letting it do its thing. Turn them around a bit. Just change directions a bit. And that will send the water up through the capillaries and the different little journal ways it's in there. So we'll just leave them in there for a couple of hours more, and yeah, let them do its thing. Righto. So we're not really sure, about 3.5, maybe 4 hours, bubbling and boiling. You can see it's lifted all the, that'll just all fall off. We'll re-wash them with petrol and just get all that gunk off. But that is all out of the inside of the carburetor. That's old lacquer and whatever the hell else it is. So we'll just take it outside a little bit, blow the air up, blow it all off with air. Make sure all our capillaries and everything are open, which ones to go where. So this one goes to atmosphere. That one's open. Comes out the idle. That's open. That one comes out the main. It just blew some dirty water out over us. So they're all gone. Down your choke tube. Saw that come out of there. And the little 3 holes on the top of the carburetor. So it's still got the white on it, but that will come off. We'll get a really nice clean bowl of petrol, and we'll just wash all that off, and that'll just come off, piece of cake. So that's what it looks like after being boiled. Righto. So we'll just show you just how quick it happens. We've gone to a brass wire brush, and I've got myself just a small 50mm paintbrush, but I've cut it down so it's a lot easier to work, and you're not busting your brush with it being really long either. So you can obviously see all the crap in there. So we'll just drop it in. Well, the petrol's a little bit old now, but it's only last night. So we're only after, like, to spend, you can spend hours on one bowl if you like, to get it as clean as you like. It's just personal preference. But then because can you see in the drain bowl a little bit of stuff in the bottom? So you just get a small screwdriver and loosen that up, and any other bits that are in there, maybe just give it a little bit of a rub that the brush won't pick up. And that's basically as good as you need it. You can keep going if you want until you get the stain out, but the stain won't block a jet. So, you know, that's not going to block any jet. So that's a couple of minutes, and it's clean enough that's good enough. We'll just pop the bleed nut out of the bottom of it, maybe. This is the only one that is not done on it. Murphy's Law. And we'll just take that out just to there's not even a washer on that. Yeah, right. Have to find a washer before it goes back together again. But that will just see there's a little bit more rubbish on the where the thread was now that was cleaned up before. So just remove that bit of rubbish. Bring that back to reasonably clean. And then yeah, I'll have to get another washer. And then it's just a matter of cleaning off that bit of rubbish just to get the big stuff off it. You know, so the colour won't really matter. And then drop her in the bowl and give it a hard time with a wire brush. Kind of also will prove that we're still working on the same set of carburetors. If you guys can see how quick it comes up, that you know someone's going to say, "Oh, you're a completely different set of carburetors." So it doesn't take very long. So there you go, like it takes next to no time, and however clean you want them, you just keep going. But this is just a, you know, you could work on ages and ages and ages to get that off. But as far as cleaning the carburetor, cleaning it out, like if you were to get, you know, you could take ages to get that out, but that's clean. We'll get the, it's clean of big stuff that is going to cause an issue. Clean the gasket surface off. Yeah, that will, without sitting there watching for half an hour, we'll go around and clean that black stuff off with a Stanley knife. But, you know, so this will be interesting. So you can see the needle and seat, the condition that the needle and seat's in. You see that nice and clear, covered in rubbish. So that's, watch this, it takes, and you don't need, like, there's guys out there that will re-kit them and re-kit them and re-kit them. But you clean that basically off, blow dry that. Give that, just give it a little, so that's, I might be better off putting it on the bench, but that's cleaned up. Now I just get it, where'd my rag go? This one will need, or not really. So, to clean the needle and the seat needle, no, the needle seat. Take the washer off. Cotton bud. We just happen to have, one's got a paddle at one end and one's got a taper. A little bit of autosol or metal polish. That's probably too much. You have to feed it in there. Squish it in and then just turn it around. If you had a Dremel, maybe you might overcook it, but it's a simple. Oh, look at that. Whether you can see inside yet. Nothing takes very long. Get in all the edges and the corners. And then drop the dry one in there. And just run a dry, clean, dry one. Like that. And the likelihood of you seeing in there, I don't know how you're going to see in there, but without, you're going to need the light.
It's like a freshly lapped valve seat.
And when you look at it in the light, where your needle sits and inside is polished, so that when you drop the needle in, those two faces are nice and clean. So that's cleaning the needle and seat. Get a bit of a rinse off on the petrol. Clean that up. Oh, shit. In there somewhere. Where'd you go? Here. So, and then you look at that. How long did that take? Wouldn't have been 2 minutes. Maybe 3. So that's how quick. It doesn't take long to do. And it's just a matter of going through, cleaning up. Like that's the emulsion tube. So terrible brass washer, brass brush. Again, you can spend as long as you like on here. But get the dirt off it. Where's the tiny little piece of wire gone? So I'm using, you can see that.
Yep, stay there.
Just a piece of what's accelerator cable, just one that's splayed, and just move it through until you pick up both sides. moving it through. Make sure you can get all four, make sure you can get it to go through both sides. And when you're moving it like that, the waves will go through and contact all the other pieces of the circle, of the hole. And if they are blocked, which these ones have been, obviously, you just got to bust your way through the little bit of muck in the holes. Where did that go? Gornsky. Pause for a sec. Pause. Where did that go? It ended up on the floor. You want to get another bit?
I'm trying to work out where I put my glasses.
No,
Damn, that was going so well, Jeffrey.
Nice. Good go.
Replacement pieces.
So
Well, you'd just about have a never-ending supply of that if you've got a proper cable over there.
Righto, there you go.
Oh.
Righto. So this is what's left. They've dried off. As you can see, there is next to no stain of lacquer anywhere. It's all nice and clear. There's still a little bit of stain in the throat. I don't know, polish you'll get it out, and we do have polish wheels for a little bit later on. The choke is clean. So we just now, like that's just a bit of residue off the soap that was boiled in. We'll just drop it in some fresh fuel, give it a quick wipe over, get rid of that, and then we'll dive into all the air passages that need to be cleaned up. So just a simple wipe over just to get rid of that, because it's only soap really. And like I say, if you want to spend hours cleaning it, you go your hardest to bring it up to your level of what you want. But just for the video. So that's cleaned most of the water off. There's little bits of green on the brass. Whatever that is, I'm sure a chemist will be able to tell me what that is. Blow it off. Basically, there you have it. If you want to go harder, go your hardest. Airways. Take my gloves off. Where do they go? What feeds what? Where'd my wire go? Interesting question. Where did my wire go? Righto. So number one is your air jet for the carburetor. So that runs through that through this armature here to that ball bearing on the side, runs down the side into your idle jet hole. So that's where your main jet runs to. Now it's come apart. So the easiest way to make sure they're locked or unblocked is run through it till it stops, put your finger on, and then run through. So you can see that runs right through to there, nice and easy, there's no blockage. if you get one single strand, which you guys are not going to be able to see on the camera, because here is one. Oh, I've got no idea if you can see that.
Yeah.
But to get that down, to meet that down in there, is going to be pretty tricky. So, yeah. The only other way you do it is plate clean, feed the brake clean, and once again the brake clean needle will go all the way. So that will show you that it's clear that way. And if you feed it in, it'll come out the idle jet hole. So you know that's clean. The next one is this top one. All that is an atmosphere. So you check that again, all the way to the end of the casting, and then that runs through this one, up, and that's clear as well. This hole here is the one where guys are putting gaskets on, and the gasket is covering the hole. But if you look at the hole, need that. If you look at the hole, it has this whole indent area is recessed. So even if your gasket is covering the hole, it is still open. That access point is still open. Say this section here is open. So that's the hole on the carburetor. So that when you feed it over, even if your gasket is sitting over the hole, you've still got this section here that is open. That runs along the channel from here over to your choke spigot, which is obviously this bloke, and that feeds, can you see that hole? That feeds this hole there. Can you see that?
Yep.
Righto. That hole is as important as any other hole on the carburetor. So that's got to be clear, and your choke spigot has to be clear. And basically, and then your choke spigot runs down through here. It runs into the channel into here, up through that little tiny piece of pipe, and then into your choke circuit here. So, but it's a tiny, tiny hole, as well as feeding into your idle circuit as well, because when you pull your choke on, that feeds your idle circuit. So that's the three of those. Your bell, this is where a lot of guys get into trouble when they put pods on the bikes. If you don't have a pod rubber that runs around the outside, and when you put your pod rubbers on, it covers that vacuum, that hole feeds directly into the base. So you feed that through there, it comes up through there. So when you put pods on, if you cover this egg-shaped hole at the back, that's your vacuum and your movement for your diaphragm to move up and down. So that's where a lot of guys get into trouble. Choke circuit, well, you can see that plain as day. It runs straight through and out the top of your throat. Your air fuel mixture screw, obviously, it's very hard to get to because it goes down, but then it comes back, straight back, and that's pretty hard to get to as well. But all you can do is, to a degree, is put your finger over the hole and then fill it up, and it will come out. It's coming out the bottom, out through your idle. So that's that one. Those ones, that one's. The most important holes on the carburetor are the 3 holes. How are we going to see that? Where your butterfly shaft, when your butterfly is shut, your butterfly touches up here. So you've got the hole where your air fuel mixture screw comes out, and it's actually a fuel screw, not an air fuel mixture, it's actually a fuel screw. But below that, where your butterfly shuts, are 3 minute holes. Those 3 minute holes come up through your throat, they come out here. So this is the channel for those 3 tiny holes, and then they go down this shaft, out of this shaft, straight into your idle. So those 3 holes are of the utmost importance because they run your bike up to 4,000 RPM. So when you're getting to 3,500 RPM and everything's stuttering, it's because those 3 holes aren't clean and you're not getting the fuel before your mains open and your vacuum takes over and your needles lift and you start running on your mains. Those 3 are utmostly important. The easiest way to get to them, I've lost mine, I don't know where mine went, but if you get a set of oxy tip cleaners, I'm sure I had them somewhere, just go to your industrial place and get oxy tip cleaners and bend the small one like that with a 90-degree end on it, because they have small files on them. They're a small file as well. So then you just feed it in there. I don't know whether I can even do it with this tiny piece of wire. But you've just got to feed it in. That one's clean. As long as they're unblocked, and they will be unblocked because they've been boiled, and then you've sprayed them with brake clean. But you will find that half the majority of the time, those tiny 3 little holes will be blocked. And then basically all you can do is, I've often wondered about putting a piece of wire up there, boiling water and bending that at 90 degrees, and then pulling the wire out, and then that's held at 90 degrees, and then you can spray. But if you spray, well, even if you put it down the idle, I guess, whether it would work. Yeah, it's coming, so it'll come out those 3 holes. So that's the correlation for those 3 holes in your idle circuit. They have to be clean. There is no ifs, buts. Or she'll be right, they have to be clean. Yeah, so we've covered that tiny little hole there. Your main jets, that's one. This one here is for the hole in the cravat there. Your choke circuit, that's clean. They're all clean. And so that's your cleans there. On your bowl, exceptionally important. Where's my single one gone again? Here it is. Can't even see the damn thing. In your spigot, in your float bowl, about here, where that casting shape changes, there is a minute hole. And it is a bastard to get, which is why you need a high tensile piece of wire, which where the tip cleaners come in handy, because it is a very fine hole and it can be full, like I mean chockers, of material and gunk. And going on the bottom, what these carburetors look like, you would imagine it will be the same. So the easiest way to do it, drop your, if you can see, drop your tube straight down the hole there. And it's not blocked, but it's not open. So you just keep working it. Bit of air, but not everybody's got air. So another way of doing it, checking, is to get a torch and shine the torch over the hole. You won't see this on camera. Just shine one of the LEDs down the hole, and then physically look down the hole through here, and you'll see the light when they're clean. You will see the light in the bottom of the hole. You'll see the light hit this bottom, because that's where your other armature comes in from here. So yeah, you'll see that light when it's clean. So yeah, high tensile wire, very, very, very fine, and that's the holes. So I think that's basically covered that. Yeah, now we just go through, put them together. So these are the tip cleaners. We just found mine. These are the tip cleaners that you're talking about. Just a little set of tiny files for oxyacetylene tip cleaners. Put a bend on the end, 90-degree bend. Can you see down the throat? Good. So then you're chasing the 3 holes, if we can do this. So that hole there is your air fuel screw. No, that hole there is your fuel screw. So then there's 3 holes here, and you just push it in, move it around, pull it out of that one, check the third one, second one, and the third one. Just push them in, move them around, and then you get in with your brake clean and give them a bit of a blowout, and that'll blow it back through into your idle circuit. Talking about airways and idle circuits, I was just watching the videos over before I post them up just to make sure all the info's there. What I forgot to mention when we're talking about the idle circuits, the change between idle and the mains. The idle circuit runs all the time. At 100 mile an hour, the idle circuit is still operating, so it's still drawing fuel, which is where the 3 holes, so the 3,500, 4,000 RPM, when your mains and your slides are starting to open, if those 3 holes aren't clean, that is where you get that blip, 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 blip from, because the fuel isn't coming through the idle circuit right at the top where your slides start lifting. You're not getting the right fuel delivery, which is why the 3 holes are so important.